Go.
There we go.
Okay. Welcome to the Business and Economic Development Committee. This is Wednesday, January 17th. It is 5:36. Around the table, we have Director Creed. We have Councilor Fournier, Councilor Dean. I'm Councilor Hawes. I'll be chairing the committee. We have Councilor Fish, Councilor Leonard, Councilor Trimble, Councilor Yakabaga, and we have Councilor Schaefer and Councilor Pelletier are on remote. Our first item is the Housing Progress Quarterly Update.
Yes, we want to come to the committee on a quarterly basis just to let you know what the updates are to the city's webpage. We have a dedicated webpage just showing housing progress, and there's sort of two tiers to this. It's to give you an update on what's happening, at the planning board level, sort of market rate or just housing by private developers, and then what. The second tier is sort of what is the city doing? What are we working on? What are we doing to forward the priorities that you have for housing production? So the updates include Maine Woods was approved by the planning board. They are meeting February 5th. They had to cancel their meeting last night. So they're meeting February 5th to review the decision, the written decision, but they did already pass a motion to approve the project, so that will probably go back under construction if it's not already. And we're doing more of the rehabilitation loans, first-time home buyer assistance. In this last quarter, I think there was one home buyer assistance and a few, I think it was 3 or 4 rehabilitation loans, so those programs are going strong. The housing production plan, we're working on the contract right now with the consultant that we had talked to you about at your last meeting. And we're also working through at a staff level, reviewing the request for proposal responses that we got on short-term rentals, the management of that. There are a lot of companies that manage this, and for not a lot of money, they'll do all of the, the letters, the enforcement, everything, but obviously the inspection, those will be done through our code office. But it's a pretty efficient way to be able to manage short-term rentals. People can just go into a portal. They're already used to using portals because most of them use Airbnb and VRBO and all the other sites that are available to them. So they're already at that level where going into a portal to do registration isn't a big deal for them. And also we're working to bring to probably your next agenda a further discussion on rental registry. We've been talking about that for a long time, but we're trying to fine tune that process so that we can get that to you for your review. In the last quarter, we've dedicated almost just under $250,000 of CDBG monies to housing projects. So we've been busy with that in our community development office, so that's good. Other projects, Bangor Housing Authority, probably saw in the newspaper, are working on the UMA Bangor campus adjacent properties. So that's exciting. Those, all of these infill underutilized spaces, we're trying to take a look at, helping out to just point out properties to different agencies. So that's moving along. And we're also looking at, city-owned properties and, the tax acquired properties that we have, and just to try to look at these to say what else could we do with these properties to forward housing, especially now that you've increased density allowances with the LD 2003 changes recently. This is a good time for us to move forward and look at these properties in a different way than we have in the past. And there's no housing projects pending for planning board right now, and we don't think we have anything in a pre-meeting phase at the staff level either. So,
Any comments, questions? Councilor Fournier.
2 questions. The Broadway project?
yes.
looks like they've been clearing some land,
Yep,
so that's moving forward.
that is moving forward, yeah.
Okay,
I think that is accounted for already on the table that's on the housing, that housing page,
okay,
those units, 60 units.
yeah. And the other question I had was in the mall area,
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on there right now.
You know, we did have a lot of interest for market rate, large scale, development projects out there and we hadn't heard from them in a while, so we contacted them and what we're hearing back from that industry, market rate housing, is their construction costs are coming in high. It's not the land costs or anything else, it's that they're, you know, when they run the numbers for construction, they're coming in pretty high. And we're hearing that in all areas, not just residential.
Any other comments, questions?
And I think that kind of supports the work that we're trying to do, looking at city-owned properties to try to, is there a way that we can, you know, like, we can't control the construction industry, but if we can control other costs to help move development, then hopefully we can get more units.
We appreciate this update.
Yeah,
You're doing a lot.
we're busy.
But that's what we had hoped would happen. You know, you've got things on here that are been there for a while, that we're starting to be able to wind down with those, but there's new things. And you're doing really well at cycling things through, so that's appreciated.
Great. All
I
right,
guess-
so, yep, next on the agenda is a report from Downtown Partnership, if you wanna come up. She is here.
Of course, I'll
I know. Hi, thanks everyone for having me. I think everybody's read the report and I just want to summarize it by saying it's been a really great and productive year. We've had a lot of projects that were kind of in the tickler that we were working on with the city to get across the finish line and we actually more or less cleared our slate this year of the things that had been lingering for, 2-3 years or more. So that was really nice to have move forward and kind of open up opportunity for us to look at some new projects in this upcoming fiscal year. So beyond that, I think I would let the report stand unless anyone has any questions about things that we're working on or.
Any questions on the report? Did you all get copies of it? Okay. Let's make sure everybody had a copy before I say that.
Yeah, we put it in your packets. Okay,
At least you're gonna, it's another busy year.
Yeah, another busy year. Yeah, and it's fun to be back in the what's the next big idea phase, like after you got a bunch of big ideas off the ground. So yeah.
I did have someone ask me if you were going to put the umbrellas back up in the spring.
Yes, they go back, the umbrellas go May to October is kind of the rough, and it's actually gonna be we weren't able to bring the project all the way to completion last year because there are the umbrella benches that are going on the corners of the streets, and there are upside down umbrella planters that line the streets as well. And the actual structure, the skyscape, is going to be extended down all the way to Columbia Street. There was a required one support pole that's going to have to go in that kind of held us up from being able to do that. And then for the benches and the planters, they were shipped from Portugal. And they came via boat as opposed to via airplane, so they didn't get here until much later, but they're sitting in Public Works warehouse right now. And Aaron and his team have graciously offered to help us get them out there. So those will be coming out roughly May sometime. So, when there's probably no threat of snow. We'll get everything back up. Right, it's snowing in May, not to be worried. Yeah, so the idea is to get all that stuff out by mid-May. So it's out for the season and then we can swap it out. I don't know if anyone noticed, but we did put up decorative lighting there for the winter. So we'll just keep doing that because once that structure is in place, we can do whatever, we can hang different things from it. So
There were favorable comments about the lighting. So
yeah,
it was a
I
good
think
choice.
Yeah, I think that anytime that we can do that decorative lighting in downtown, and there's actually a couple other places that we have it going up, within the next few months. So I think people really like that. It feels safe, it feels cozy.
Mm.
It kind of defines an area, so we're expanding our use of that.
Councilor Yakubak, you had
Yeah.
your hand up?
Yeah, thank you so much for the report. I think it addresses all of the points that we have been talking about and discussing about downtown. I want to say just a comment that I have seen an increase in people, going to the downtown and using the shops and restaurants, even though we received some complaints about, some activities, unhoused and stuff, but I have a feeling that, or what I have seen lately, there is a lot of like an increase in activity in downtown, and I think this is a healthy sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know there's some activity around the library area, but overall, I feel it's not affecting the activities in downtown. I want to ask about the Folks Festival. The Folks Festival?
Oh, the folk festival?
Yeah.
They haven't, that was a different organization.
So
Yeah,
that's not,
it was.
downtown?
No, they were their own,
So it was
separate
independent.
organization, and they
Independent.
dissolved 5
Yeah.
years or so
They've been
ago.
gone.
Yeah, I thought it attracted a lot of activity to downtown area, and now with the creation of the green area around the transit center, I thought, to bring more activity to downtown. So that's not Bangor.
I mean, that's actually what our project is for, our next project that we're working to bring across the finish line is a project that will kind of unify downtown to the waterfront more. So one of the things I do is I go greet all the cruise ships that come in. And, when you tell them, give them direction to walk to downtown, I do a little like welcome to Bangor 101 speech and kind of stand out there and point. I go on the ship and do that, and then I stand outside and point to people, and they get a little lost when they get past the Sea Dog, because the sidewalk, if you've done that walk before, kind of ends, and they see just kind of this big industrial bridge. So we're working on a plan that would add art to the underside of the bridge. We're in the early planning stages of that, and possibly some decorative lighting for night, because it would be really nice, for concerts, for the cruise ship, for the bike race that happens on the waterfront. There's just so many ways in which the waterfront is utilized, and to smooth out the pedestrian traffic flow back and forth is one of the goals for this year.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Just a comment.
Councilor Dean?
I'm just very impressed with everything that the Downtown Bangor Partnership is doing. I appreciate anything that brings more people downtown to beautify and energize Bangor. And I am interested in more concerts and bringing people in for free concerts and things like that, once we get the area ready. Is there any thought of that before that area is ready, or is there really no place to do that?
Well, for us, it's really kind of a capacity issue. The Downtown Bangor Partnership used to run the Cool Sounds Outdoor Market. And it did take a considerable amount of staff and volunteer effort to do it. And so the Downtown Bangor Partnership in 2018, I want to say, made a shift from being a really events producing organization to being an events support organization. So now what we try to do is support other people in putting on events. I think once that space is completed, and we do some programming down there, some events we'll put up, but we would love to see that area as also other areas of downtown activated regularly. And so our goal is really at this point to reach out to people and bring them in. So for example, I had somebody reach out to me about, they want to do an outdoor craft fair and art market kind of in that area under the bridge, so I help them go through like the permitting process and like walk them through that. I help them connect with local businesses that can provide, support and infrastructure. I help them with the, kind of facilities planning, but we don't take on the entire project ourselves because we find that we can do a better job of supporting 10 people doing things rather than the energy that it would take for us to do one thing. Yeah.
That's it. Councilor Pelletier, and then we'll come back to you, Councilor Forney.
Thank you. Just two quick comments. I thought the holiday market and sort of holiday events this year were really well done downtown. It felt like downtown really embraced, hey, shop down here for the holidays. I thought the gift guide was a really great idea. and worked out well. And then the lighting on the outside of the parking garage has done more for that space. It's really tremendous to see it lit up at night and just see, again, it sort of helps the whole of downtown feel like it's connected to itself and to the other areas of the city. And it makes it warm and welcoming and attractive to people to want to use the garage. So well done on those. Excited to see what else you dream up for next year.
Thank you.
Councilor Fornia?
The lighting that was going on downtown at Pickering Square, it'd be great if we could continue that to go down.
So that we do have-
Waterfront.
We do have a whole like multi-phase plan. It is it is
Yeah.
really expensive, but the next plan is actually to light the underside of that bridge.
Yeah.
Like, so that will be the next phase. Shining, and well, not going over the water, because that's a whole marine thing, but the
Yeah.
pedestrian pathway, so like where the road goes through. There's in Baltimore, when I did a tour of Baltimore with their downtown association, there was a neighborhood that had a bridge that went, or a park that had a bridge. Well, it's not really a park, it's kind of a park, kind of businesses, and it was kind of a horseshoe shape, and everything on one side of the horseshoe was very active, and everything on the other side of the horseshoe was really dead. And they did the lighting underneath the bridge, and they started by, programming once a month. They would have like a DJ out there and like a food truck and have a little party, and then things would like trickle back. And now both sides of the horseshoe are completely vibrant. And that's kind of what we're thinking too. There are a lot of really cool businesses that are right there in that Union Square Plaza. Kind of like where Carolina's is and Headline Salon, so like directly across the street from Sea Dog. But people don't really realize that they're there. They don't see the connectivity to downtown. And so we want to do the lighting underneath there. Because then too, if you are exiting the parking garage and you look to the left, it looks like something is going on there at night, and you can be drawn down that way. Or conversely, if you're coming out of Waterfront concerts when it closes at night and it's dark outside and you look and you see that underlighting, that colorful, festive underlighting, that also is an indication to go in that direction and see what's going on. And then, from there, then you can see the parking garage, and then you can see West Market Square. So to kind of create that nighttime link for people.
So just to follow up on that, and Councilor Trumbull's earlier remark, it's good to see the downtown neighborhood come together.
Yes, it is. Councilor Trumbull, do you have anything you'd like to add? Oh, okay. Oh, Councilor Fish, sorry.
It might be a good idea, or I was just thinking where we were just talking about, the plans for, Pickering Square and in that area where they were gonna have the kiosks. So, yeah, they're gonna have the kiosks, for announcements. I wonder, maybe putting a city map in there with just some streets and the names of the businesses that are within walking distances there might. So the people that might get lost from the cruise.
Yeah,
as well as
absolutely.
other people that might just bring these other businesses, openly to their attention.
So my hope is really that they're digital kiosks, and I'm gonna, obviously circle up with Jefferson, and we did talk about that in the whole planning phase, and he loves that idea as well. Because if they're digital kiosks, you have the opportunity to, you could stand in Pickering Square and hit a button that says restaurant, and it will pull up all the restaurants and show how far they are from you. So then it gives you like the closest walking distance and a little bit of information. And so we already have a directory built, it'd be really easy for it to pull from that directory. You can also have programming. So it's like when it's just kind of still, it can cycle through what's showing at Penobscot Theater, what's coming up at Bangor Arts Exchange, what festivals and events are happening on the waterfront. So it's an advertising tool. And I looked at one that was actually a really amazing option if it was a citywide solution, because you could put them at the mall, you could put them at the airport. And again, it would be pulling whatever is closest to you. So if you get off, at the airport, and then that kiosk, but they're all tied together, and can be programmed from one central point, like something like that, I think would be really amazing. Or even going further, you can tie them into, the bus transit system. So like they could be at major bus stops. And so you're getting that like community promotion at your bus stops, and it will also be telling you when your next bus arrives. So that's like on the bigger scale, but on the smaller scale, if we could get 2 digital kiosks, that we can have that will show people, and then even possibly putting one down at the waterfront, 1 or 2 down at the waterfront, maybe like right where that cruise ship comes in. Like that would be a really great thing too, so people could pop off and interact with it. Yeah, so I think that'll be really good.
Councilor Schaefer.
Thank you. I think that all sounds great. I think that wayfinding is so needed. There was one morning this fall, and I had parked by like Orange Top and was walking to the bagel shop, and there were 2 people just sitting there. They were like looking around. They're looking at their phone. They're looking around. So I'm like, can I help you find something? And they were like, yeah, is there like a tourist center or a chamber of commerce? Like, and I was like, what are you looking for? Like, well, we just want to know what there is to do. Like, where can we go to eat? And what like literally all the stuff a kiosk would answer. I said, well, you happen to have struck gold here, because I will sell this city to you right here on the side of Central Street. And gave him some ideas and talked to him and told him where to go and all that. But having those kiosks, I think that like the Pickering Square is great, but also eventually to get them in Norumbega Parkway would be wonderful. And also if they were electronic, if you could flip them for the cruise days, to be like, welcome passengers, here's what's open just for you. Because I know that some people have opened their businesses specifically because a cruise ship is there, and to help that sort of pay off for their time and investment of opening their business on a day they might not otherwise be open would be nice. So I think it's all great. I love the umbrellas and the lights and all the things we're doing to make downtown feel a lot more connected, safe, warm, inviting, comfortable, beautiful, all of those things. So thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you.
Thank you,
Great job
Betsy.
for the report.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is a proposed change to chapter 260 signs. We have one of probably many anomalies in the sign code about when you have a larger lot where you have buildings that are set back more than 100 feet. And there's multiple tenants right now. It's an awkward location where they'd be able to put a freestanding sign. In some of the districts like urban industry, shopping and personal, general commercial, it really came up on a property near the mall area that is adding another tenant, and they want to have another freestanding sign. They can have a freestanding sign, that's not the issue. It's just the location of it is really awkward. So we'd like to change the language just to kind of get rid of that 100 feet requirement, so that they can place it on where it's safe and convenient for people to see, because that's the whole point.
Do you still get questions from the little plaza down on Washington Street about their signs?
I haven't.
They have had issues for multiple years about the sign down there. Apparently, they were told that it can only be where it is, and it can only be as tall as it is. But it was hit or something was wrong with it, and certain stores didn't have their sign up there.
Oh, okay. Let me contact them and I'll find out.
I know they had a little plaza association.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they're all condoed, right?
There's 2 or 3
Unusual
people there that would
situation.
love to talk to you about that.
Okay, yeah, I'll reach out to them.
If they could
Yeah,
have
happy
a
to do that.
Facebook or something.
Yeah, multiple tenants and signage is always an
Mhm.
issue, and we want people to know where they're supposed to go.
That would be great. Thank you. So back to this 100 feet. Questions on what she's proposing? Council Fournier.
So would that go before the planning board at all?
No,
No,
this isn't
that's what it
land
said.
development code, so signs just go to you as the
Okay.
council.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So would there be any, maybe not complaints, but people who are, maybe in disagreement with this, or like, how do we know how people who, within that area, how they feel about this?
It's gonna make things a lot easier for the multiple tenant buildings that are set further away from the road.
Mhm.
So, because we did look at the other parcels that it might affect, and it's actually gonna help.
So
a
some
few other
visibility for this.
parcels.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember with Gifford in Bangor, when they suggested they wanted some change to the sign, and it was not allowed within the zone, and I remember they have now the electronic one, and it made a huge difference, I think, for them.
yeah,
So is it this in a similar, like similarly?
similar, yeah.
And electronic sign close to a neighborhood. That was
Yeah,
their issue.
yeah, that one, because it's closer to. a
Oh,
neighborhood,
okay.
Yeah, this one,
They got a variance, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
so this is just businesses in
This
this
is
area.
just in the general commercial, shopping and personal
Mhm.
service, your
Mhm.
more densely
Yeah.
developed areas.
Mhm.
Alright. Okay, and then next on the agenda, our airport director is here, I think. Yeah, update on air service development incentive program.
How come he wasn't first on this?
I'm sorry,
How come he wasn't first?
the airport?
I thought the airport came first.
We were late to the agenda, I think.
Wow,
I know.
Just tease.
so not out of you, Mr. Roberts. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening. We're back for a brief update on our air service development incentive program. So as for a little bit of background about the program itself, it's been in place for a while. However, a while back, we asked a consultant to come in and help us assess the program and evaluate it to make sure that it met industry standards and that it was placing the Bangor International Airport in a competitive place compared with other airports that we might be either competing or look of similar size to us to attract air service into the community. And so after that work was completed, our consultants came back with recommendations of what to adjust and implement at the airport. Along with that, we also had some changes in operations on how things that were not longer available within that incentive program, just to line up with industry practices. So after those recommendations, what we created under Amy's leadership and with the recommendations from the consultants was creating a 3-tier incentive program. And so the first part of the first tier, and in a sense, is 3 priorities for air service development, is incentivizing current air carriers to add new destinations to Bangor International. The second tier was for a new carrier, air carrier, to provide additional destinations to, so it would be a new air carrier with the new destination. And the third tier of the program was for a new air carrier to provide service to an existing destination. And so based off of that, we're implementing this program that has been in place, but under the new guidelines that were suggested by our consultants and the work that we did to make sure that we're placing Bangor International as an attractive place for business and to continue to bring connectivity to the community.
Nice. Are you trying to draw your piece?
That's really what it is. This did start, so we had brought this to airport committee during COVID times. And then we didn't really need to incentivize anything that we didn't have. And so we weren't sure what was gonna happen with air service industry. So now is a perfect time for us to sort of be revisiting and going through the process.
Like the 3-tier. Yeah. Councilor Turnbull.
So we had this prior to, we had always incentivized airlines as far as doing some advertising for them and stuff. So do we have data that shows, okay, this has been effective in attracting airlines, or is it just kind of like a little bonus if they come here and we say, yeah, we're gonna do some, we're gonna advertise in Charlotte or wherever? Do we know if it's effective?
So part of the incentive program, some airports have the ability, depending on the ownership structure of the airport, they have the ability to tap into additional resources that might not be available to us. And so what the program itself does, I think it brings us up to speed to a reasonable place. When it comes to starting new service, I think one of the biggest challenges is creating a what in the industry is seen as a consistent load factor, that after a certain period of time of operations, the community is aware that the service is available and that it can sustain itself. And so the way the program is designed, the incentives themselves is one of them being the landing fee, waiving the landing fees is implemented for a 24-month period. And after that period, then the landing fees would apply. And again, that the 24-month period is that time frame that from there on we would be able to hopefully keep that service in place. And one of the challenges, not necessarily challenges, but the particular situation that the airport has been is a relative stable market in terms of destinations and adding new service with the current airlines. And so I think this provides the opportunity for future growth.
An additional thing that this does is request some of that tracking information. So our previous incentive program did not have an application process where it's not that we're going to deny their application, but this allows us to have an actual agreement with the airlines so that we request information from them. I mean, they give us their employment figures, the report that I give to you. But in addition, we'll be able to track some of those marketing dollars a little bit better because usually they do destination marketing. So the new Punta Gorda flight from Allegiant, for example, that the majority of that marketing is done in Punta Gorda because that's where they are based. We handle the portion up here. So we're able to use our marketing and advertising dollars much more wisely because they're taking care of a portion that they know we need to spend. So really, we would be spending some of those dollars anyway, but we're spending them in a much smarter manner. And this incentive program requests that some more of that data is given to us. So there's a requirement that they provide us with additional data on a monthly basis. And you asked for proof of, did it work before? The service that we have is continuing. So you can see that we haven't lost a whole lot of service out of our market. As far as gaining new service, it takes a very long time to build those relationships and to get new destinations. And especially because we're so seasonal, it takes us a longer amount of time to track whether or not those routes are successful. So that 24-month period allows us that good amount of time, which in the business world can seem like 2 years is a long time to see if something's going to work. But really, when you're looking at air service and the seasonality of our airport, it really gives us a much better picture and gives the airline a much better picture of is it working and where they might want to expand.
The one thing that I would add to that is that the incentive program is designed to incentivize year-round service. And so sometimes airlines might want to come in seasonally. The 2-year period allows for that consistent service that is not just during certain months of the year.
So when do you actually present this? Do you take this to your trade shows? Or do you?
Jumpstart is the big conference that we go to every
Right.
June. But we have these conversations continually, so it's
Okay.
not,
It's all the time.
it's not a once a year, all or nothing. We are consistently having conversations with existing air carriers, with new air carriers. We're following market trends, looking at where new announcements may have been made and possible expansion markets, airports similar to our size, demographics similar to ours and destinations that connectivity is one thing that we've always talked about. Yes, we want those direct flights and this is to get those direct flights, but it's the connectivity, we can get you anywhere in the world, but we want to make sure that we're getting people to those connections. So looking at some of those larger hubs, we're not a large hub airport. We're going to get people where they need to go to where they need to go for the most part. So this really allows us to be competitive in that market year round.
Any other comments? questions? The screen has no hands. Okay,
Great.
thank you
Thank you.
for the update.
Okay, then next on the agenda, the Banair Corporation is requested to extend their lease at the Bangor Innovation Center and the Bangor Foreign Trade Zone at 40 Johnson Street for 2 years. And just to add to that, Jose and I have talked briefly about, getting together is trying to do more strategic planning with, Banair and the foreign trade zone. So we'll be bringing information to you as we go forward in those conversations. But staff recommends that the committee recommend approval of the extension of the lease agreements for the full council.
So moved.
Councilor,
I'll second. I do have a comment. If it's possible at some point, I would really like to see some sort of, not necessarily a presentation, but just what are some active projects or collaborations that the Innovation Center is working on right now? I think council, it'd probably be very helpful to understand what is happening right now, just so that we can have a better understanding on what we can do to also help the Innovation Center grow to assist Bangor in whatever way, shape, or form. So anyway, I know there's 4 counselors who are board members on part
Yep,
of
the committee
Banair.
chairs, yeah.
And so I don't know how much involvement that those 4 have had over the years, but I would like to try to at some point have some conversations, especially with those counselors involved, just to make sure that there's consistent direction in where the Innovation Center should be headed, especially with all of its current collaborations, potential future collaborations as well.
Well, the timing of the request is good because I was also going to introduce to you our new business development specialist, Brad. I'd welcome you to come up and sit with me for a second. And as we transition Banair to as part of Brad's work, I mean, this is good timing to kind of take stock as to, what do we have, what's happening, where do we want it to go? And so that's something that Brad's gonna be working on, so.
that would be
Excited.
helpful, because I know over the years, people still don't really get a good grasp
This
of
mystery,
what that whole thing
Corporation.
is and what they do, and there are 4, you're right, there are 4 counselors on there, but sometimes the meetings conflict with meetings that we have here or with other work things that we do. It
Yeah.
isn't always super well attended. I think the intentions are good and, we do
Right.
get minutes and that sort of thing. But it would be nice to directly have an update of what's going on in your world out there.
yeah. So welcome to Brad, and yeah, that's definitely something that we'll put on a future agenda, for sure.
Council Fournier, you had a comment.
No, I was just gonna say, so prior to being on council, I sat on Banair board for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think there's some continuity there. But I would strongly suggest if you haven't taken a tour out there, definitely do a tour.
Set something out.
The tour is,
It's good.
It's
It's
worth
just
it.
to get a good understanding of what's going on out there. That's important. So, my comment.
any other comments? Questions? You have more?
All right,
We do have a motion and a second to accept the extension of the leases. We do have to do a roll call because we have Council Schaefer up there on the wall. So we'll start with you, Council Schaefer,
Yes.
Council Fish,
Yes.
Council Leonard,
Yes.
and Council Trumbull,
Yes.
and I will also be a yes. So we do have that subject back
thank you very
to
much.
recommend to council.
All right, thank
Okay.
you. That's all I have for this agenda.
That's it? Okay, well, thank you very much. We will, if there's nothing else to come before the committee, we will adjourn. It is 6:15. Thank you all.
That's Brad, right?